Welcome to Asset Automation webinar. My name is Khalid Najib. I am a member of the BMC Helix technical support team. Asset management requires significant manual effort. Tracking people relationships, contract relationships, and location data manually lead to inefficiencies in your organization's daily workflow. Never mind that missing updates in the data structure due to the heavy lifting of these manual processes can result in security risks, compliance issues, and cost inefficiencies. An average Helix customer that uses asset management spends at minimum 30 hours per month creating relationships to assets in their environment. This is why we are excited to announce our asset automation tool. This is a tool that is included in asset management. It is built for modern asset management use cases that will allow a lot of the manual management to be turned into automated tasks that are easy to configure and very dynamic for your organization to configure rules and enforce data structure that makes managing your assets much easier. With asset automation, you could automate the tasks that you find are repetitive and predictable. This saves time, increases quality, and enforces the business practices in your organization. The goal is to reduce 70% of the workload of your ITAM teams when onboarding new assets and to make large organizational changes much easier. This is not only reduces the man hours spent onboarding assets, it will also create confidence in your data and increase the reliability of your data. Asset automation is a rule-based engine that is very flexible and dynamic and can make managing IT assets in your environment much simpler. Here are some scenarios and examples of how you will be able to automate asset relationships. You can set up people relationship for a specific asset based on the rule you create when onboarding new assets. Let's take a look at one of the examples we have on the screen. In this examples, we are creating a new operating system with manufacturer value of Microsoft and model value Windows. We can create a rule-based engine to automatically add the supported by people relationship to the Windows admin support group, for example, and managed by relationship to the Windows admin group when onboarding assets where the manufacturer is Microsoft and model is Windows. Similarly, you can build other rules that sets the location for that asset or create a contract relationship to an existing contract as long as they meet the conditions you set in your asset automation. In the next part of this webinar, my colleague Oscar will go through a demo on how to set up asset automation and how it works.
My name is Oscar Herrera. I have been with BMC almost 2 years now, and I am in the BMC Helix app support group. Asset automation is a tool that will be saving you time in the relationships of people, organizations, departments, or companies. I want to go ahead and give a little demonstration on what the manual process is. This asset automation tool does not take away the manual process. It'll still be there. So this is what you would end up doing. I have this record up here. It's a printer, Madwell Howell 97. We're going to come down to the People tab. I'm already there. And we're going to click on the People link. And we're going to select the people type of person. And find me a person of Mary Man. There's two in this case. I'm going to pick Cowboy Services. I'm going to select my role, and I'm going to make her the manager of this particular record, managed by. She's primary contact, and then we're going to add. That did not take too long for one record, but imagine doing thousands of records a day. That's not feasible for one person. So that's what this tool will do. As the records come in into your system, they will go ahead and be automatically related by the rules that you create. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. I'll get logged into Innovation Studio. This is the main console. When you first come in, you're going to see the rules that you have already created. So in this case, we've got quite a few, but let's talk about the columns first. You got your automation name, number of relationships, asset type, your criteria, and your status. Some of these can be sorted. I'll let you know right offhand. Don't sort by criteria because this has a potential of more than 4,000 characters, and you cannot sort by this column. But any of the other columns, fair game. Go ahead and sort as you wish. Let's talk about number of relationships. Number of relationships is not number of CIs that have been related in this case here. It is the number of rules that have been created. So this is a relationship type here, all this combination, relationship type, people type, person name, role. So there's 3 of them. So these are the 3 number of relationships that it's talking about. So let's go ahead and jump right into creating an automation. In this case, we're just going to call it new automation, just to be generic. So from here, criteria, it's going to be, we'll call it a business service, and we're going to add an expression. This is our expression builder. For business service, we have all the possible field names in there. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and search for name. So we have instance name, manufacturer name. Here I just want to use name. Okay, and I'm going to say name like data %. And of course you can add many other fields and criteria, whatever you want to do, as complicated as you need to make this statement. I'm just going to click OK and go on to the relationships. We're going to relate people. And what type? It's going to be a person, a support group, a department, an organization, or a company. In this case, let's say we're going to do company. And what company are we going to select? First one, Adobe Systems. And what role? We're going to call it used by. That's it. We've created our first automation relationship, and we can create more relationships. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and stop right here, and I'm going to save it. There are several functions that you can perform from this console. We first have to select any one of these to open up the menu for special functions, which is pretty much just enable. Like here, we can enable this guy. It's pretty much immediate. You don't have to refresh your screen. See, it's already set to active. Let's set it back to draft. Disable. All right, we set it back to draft. Let's show you what else is up there. You can remove the relationships. You can delete an automation, and you can add an automation job. We'll talk about add automation job towards the end of this demo. So when we come back to the console, it looks like my new automation rule that I just created is not there, but it is there if we scroll down. Here's the as a type of business service, and there's my name like data. But take a note. I misspelled new automation on purpose. The G on the end, you are stuck with it. You don't edit these rules. You have to delete and start over. That's just the way it was built, but just warning you, this is a delete. It is not an edit that you would have to do. We will stop there, and I'm going to go ahead and use another one of these rules, and probably this one here, name like switch. We've got data in the system already. So you can see quite a few CIs already in there like that, or we can use a name like PBX, either one of these. And you're going to see these relationships already be created just by the addition of a new switch. Before we go on to the data, I want to show you what this automation rule says and what it's going to do. So when the name begins with the word switch, we're going to relate a person, Mary Mann, and she's going to have a role of managed by, so that she's going to be the manager of all switches. We're also going to relate a support group, BMC Ops Monitoring Support Group 1, and they're going to be the owners of these switches. And then we're also going to relate everyone in the company, and the company name is Calbro Services, and those are the people who used it. So plain and simple, that's exactly what's going to go in for switches. Now, let me show you the switch data that's already in the system. So in this case here, switch B has already been created. You see it's got the relationships that I was just talking about. Owned by, used by, managed by. So it's managed by Mary Mann, used by the whole company of Calbro Services, and it's owned by the support group BMC Ops Monitoring. So if we go ahead and create a new one, we'll call it switch demo. And really, that's all the information I need for that rule to work. We can go ahead and put in anything else, but let's go ahead and save this. And let's come back and search for all our switches. We have 14 here. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. We now have 15, and switch demos at the bottom. And look, see, all these relationships have already been created. So the stance of BMC is not to input data manually like I just did. Think of this being some type of process that imports thousands of rows a day. In this case here, all those records that are coming in as new will have all these relationships ready at hand. Now, the question that you may have is, what if you have a CI that already exists? Will the new rule already update it? The answer is no, and that's where the automation job comes in. It will go ahead and update prior records that have already been created. But the rules, the automation rules that I just showed you a moment ago, are for anything coming in brand new. Likewise, if you go to delete an automation rule, it's going to keep track of all the relationships that have been created by the automation rule and delete only those. So if you had a CI that was there before the automation rule was created with 7 different relationships, 3 come in from the new automation rule, and you go to delete that, it's only going to delete the ones that the automation rule generated. So let's go ahead and talk about Automation Job Console. What I've done is I've gone ahead and set this rule that I created for the business service of beginning with data. I've set it to active for this purpose. I've also created 4 records in the business service class, and these records here by design don't have any data in the relationships because I created them before I made that rule active. So I didn't want them to have any data here, so the automation job can go ahead and create the relationships. All right, so I'm going to pick this record here, and we're going to add an automation job. All the data is already coming up to you and being displayed. I'm changing the job name. This is the rule name up here, and this is the job name down here. So If we wanted to, we can remove relationships previously created by the selected automation. That's another feature that you have. But here we're adding to, so we're going to preview what records are going to be affected by this. So here are the 4 records that I just showed you through the ITSM console, the asset management console for business services. So all these are going to have those relationships added. And if you recall, the relationship that we're adding is a company relationship where everyone in the company is a user of the CI. So let's go ahead and run this job. The automation job has been created successfully. You can view the progress of the job in the automation job console. All right, so you can click from here or from here, either way. Here's your automation job. Of course, for 4 records, it's going to run extremely fast. So, but if there were thousands of records in here, it would give you a status. If you keep on refreshing, it would tell you the progression of it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ITSM records. All right, let's go ahead and refresh. There's the new record right there for the record that already existed. Now let's say we wanted to remove the data that we just created or the relationships that we just created in the business service class for anything beginning with the word data. One way to do it is to come in and select your rule. You got to first disable it, select it again, and then remove relationships. We have 4 relationships created by this rule. Now it's not the CIs that it's deleting. It's the relationships that it created or added to those CIs. Let's confirm. Success. Okay. And let's go take a look at the data now. Let me refresh all this. See, the CI has gone. I'm sorry, the relationship has gone. Now let's say I want to get rid of this completely. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Are you sure that you want to remove it, delete it? Yes, let's go ahead and remove it. So it's been deleted. Let's take a look at what the automation job console looks like now. The jobs that I created under that rule, they're all gone. It erases it completely. So a couple other things about this job console, some capabilities. If you see that the data is just not working and you are suspicious that it might have some errors, you could take a look at your logs. They would show up in this screen right here. And you can download them if need be. Yeah, this is just what we provide for you to get your logs. Now let's talk about the things that I did not talk about this far. Under creation of the automation, one thing that I did not mention is in relationship type you have 3 options. Relate people. This is the only option available in this lab, but you will have options for relate CIs and relate contracts. Your expression builder would work the same way. And other than that, that's really the only difference here. Let's go ahead and close this, cancel. At the top you have an option for logs. These are all the logs that have been taken in this lab since people have been working in it. You can search for a specific error. Once you find it, you can select it and find more details of it as long as you scroll down. You can export the details, export all rows. You can add some columns here. They're all added, but that option's there. You can filter also. Same on the top. You've got some visible columns available to you. You can perform some type of search by error number or message or anything in here. You can also export to a CSV, and you can also filter. Back on the asset automation console, yes, you have your visible columns that you can add. You can do your search, you can export, and you can also filter. This pretty much sums up asset automations. I thank you for your time. Thank you for being here and learning about this new tool.